This is Ross Marquand, Aaron from The Walking Dead, and you're listening to the 365Flicks podcast.
Geek Speak, the definitive 365 cut. These are the meaningless ramblings of a Scottish redone whore and a pissy ex-video store clerk. Their ongoing mission is to set right the movie wrongs. They're gonna need a bigger podcast.
The monsters will come, the ones out there, and you won't be able to run away when they come for you. And they will tear you apart and eat you up, all while you're still alive. All while you can still feel it. And then afterwards, no one will ever know what happened to you.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 33 of the 365Flicks podcast, the Talking Heads episode, the officially unofficial companion to The Walking Dead, season 6, episode 13, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, The Same Boat. We're back. We skipped last week because Haze had a little bit of the walker aids. Have you recovered from your contraction of the walker aids?
Yeah, well, unusually I've managed to recover from the walker aids without getting limbs chopped off. So it's particularly pleasing.
That's generally.
Do you ever really recover from the walker aids?
Well, I hear there's a cream for it.
Oh,
is it not just like having crabs? Just stick some cream on and it goes away. So, Haze, you were completely unaware of what was about to happen in the intro there.
Yes.
How do we feel about that?
How do I feel about the episode?
Oh no! We'll get
just
to the episode, the intro to the Talking
Oh,
Heads
sorry,
there.
the intro. Sorry. Yeah. Wow, that was yeah. You kept that under your hats.
Well, we kind of had to, didn't we?
Yeah, that was a surprise and a half.
We were going to wait until the episode started and wait for you to mention it. We were just going to go total Rick Grimes and be like, what?
what?
What? But yeah, so are we good, Chris? How are we feeling today?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Okay. Aye, I'm cool.
You cool?
Cool.
Nice
cool,
one.
Cool.
So we're going to get into this. Season 6, episode 13, The Same Boat. I will warn you, even though it's going to be in the title, spoilers afoot, we'll try not... Well, we will go deep into it because, I mean, there's not a massive great deal to talk about here. On the whole, how does everybody feel about this episode that we just watched this week?
Fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I'll
second that. It was.
Is that the general consensus?
Yeah, I think so. I
Fucking
think
awesome.
so.
I do think we should subtitle this episode. Just give her the Emmy now.
Yeah,
I did share that on the Facebook
I
page
saw
last night.
that, and you're
Yeah.
you're
But
complete.
then an episode with Carol always should have an Emmy for Carol.
But I said last week, after the last week's episode, I could not believe how great Melissa McBride was. She's always good, but she was absolutely stealing the show last week. So, I mean, Haze, you weren't here last week, so do you want to give us a quick kind of analysis of how you felt about last week's episode?
Yeah. I mean, last week was fantastic. I don't think any of us expected the assault on Negan's compound to go ahead last week, but the way that it went down, I thought was really well executed. The pacing of it was superb. Carol was really good with how she was trying to, obviously trying to protect Maggie, and you could see there was a lot of internal conflict. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with Carol at the moment, which I think has parallels with how she's been with Morgan. There's a lot of unresolved stuff there, which I think's coming out. It started with last week's episode, but this week in particular. But I mean, we've been kind of having the fear week by week that things are going to suddenly turn to shit with this show. It hasn't happened yet. It didn't happen last week, and fucking hell. I mean, the only thing I kind of think is, Scott Gimple's just. It's like he's had a fire lit under his arse, and he's just suddenly gets it. The writers are pulling together in the right directions. I mean, Christ, we've been afraid of a bottle episode coming, and what it was going to do to the pacing of the show, what direction it was going to, sort of smother the atmosphere. We've had a bottle episode now. It's been done. I mean, I can't think of a more perfect bottle episode than maybe some examples from a show like Breaking Bad. than this. This is the textbook pinnacle way to do a bottle episode. And I mean, you couldn't have had two better focal points in terms of Carol and Maggie for it. I mean, I'm going to be gushing a lot this episode. Yeah, very impressed.
I think there's a lot to gush about, to be completely honest.
Yeah,
it was a solid as hell episode. So we'll just, before we get into it, I'll just pimp out all the things that if you're listening to us right now, you're either watching us live on the Blab, which is like our Talking Heads place to come, where all three of us are here on the screen. You can jump in that fourth seat and have a bit crack later. We're on iTunes. That's the best place you can find us. If you do go on iTunes, if you do listen to us, if you're listening to us on iTunes right now, because I know that people are listening, so if you could just be so nice as to click that little rate and review at the side, really helps the show, because we're not exactly new, but we're damn sure noteworthy. Definitely.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. But don't worry if you're not on the Apple.
If you're not on the Apple,
you can also get us on third-party apps as well.
Yeah, but we're on third-party apps, as the man over there says. We're on Satchel. I recommend if you're on an Android, get the Satchel app. It's so easy to use. It's so brilliant. And, of course, it's like an affiliate of the Tangent Bound Network, which we are on. And you'll find quite a few Tangent Bound podcasts on there because we're all pimping that hard right now. Talking about the networks, we've got Tangent Bound, we're on Wicked Radio Network, we're on Geeky Antics Network Global, we're on Weeby Geek, and, of course, our British home, nerdly.co.uk. Those guys have been great to us. I love that website. Nice little reviews. The odd movie review that you might not pick up.
They do a lot of movie reviews, yeah.
I really, it's a good website to be on. I'm happy we're on there. And of course we're on there with our good pals Hobie.
And we're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh yeah, but it's standard.
Yeah.
We're on the Facebooks and the Twitters. Check the 365Flicks. Oh, Chris, it's getting a bit much. Like, we are fucking everywhere.
We are everywhere. That's a good thing, though.
It is a good thing. And we have a few little things that we're going to deal with during this episode, but let's just crack on with the episode. It pretty much kicked off right where episode 12 left us.
It did. Yeah. It kind of flipped it, didn't it? So
yeah,
we saw. I actually quite liked how they did that. You could see what was going on with Rick and that. But
I was kind of sat there going, "What the hell's this? What's going on here?" And yeah, then it started.
Yeah, I mean, last episode, the back end of it, we all had we were all having the thoughts of, who's on the other end of the walkie-talkie, where's that voice coming from, and we got that answer straight away at the start of this episode, which is, just something that's been really missing from cliffhangers and the way that they've dealt with things like that in the past on this show, in the very recent past as well. It was great. It was just immediate tension right from the get-go.
It was, and they need to do more of that. They need to actually just keep doing that. Like you say, giving us a cliffhanger, dealing with it right off the bat. Just let's go straight into it. Everybody wants to know who this woman is on the other end of the on the walkie-talkie. Let's just show them. And they did go straight into that. And I'm glad they did that instead of doing what we kind of all sort of feared was going to be the Tara and Heath episode. Or jumping.
We don't need that. We don't need that at all.
Jumping back to Alexandria for an episode. They just stayed where they were, and they were like, you know what, let's just keep this boat moving. Yeah,
they stayed where they were. They took a situation that was created from the last episode and made a bottle episode out of it. I mean, hats off to the writers. That's all I can say.
Definitely. So, Chris, opening thoughts on that scene. We got to
on the opening scene.
Yeah, we got to find out who was on the other side. What did we think of all this?
I mean, I was perfectly happy with that. I think it was a cracking opening scene. We see Carol shooting the guy in the arm, which we find out later on. What was going on in Carol's head in that moment. I like is it Polly?
Well, on
the ginger lass, is it Polly or Paula or something?
On Wikipedia, she was credited as Polly, but they kept calling her Paula in the show.
Yeah, I think we should go with Paula. I heard Paula a lot during the show. Yeah,
I thought that was just like a bit of a Southern hick sort of accent going on, but no, it was definitely Paula.
She was good in that role though. I've seen her in something before, but I'm buggered if I know where it is.
Well, it's Alicia Witt. She's done a lot of things, but nothing really massively stand out. But she is.
Yeah, I've seen her in something though. But I thought she was cracking. I thought the sort of the older woman, kind of what they call her, cigarette smoking woman.
Do it, yeah.
But she was cracking as well. She was brilliant in that. I wanted Carol to kill the guy.
I kind of just wanted Carol to kill everyone.
Yeah.
No,
but yeah, cracking opening scene.
It was a great opening scene. So we go into that, we get a little bit of back and forth between Rick and Paula on the radio, and Rick Grimes pretty much being the Rick Grimes I want him to be. Like, sort of, if you were going to do it, you'd have done it by now. Really sort of, even though he had no real position of power, calling her out big time on it. And it was quite ruthless for Rick. Like, I mean, obviously Rick's getting, his mind's taking a walk off the map, but it was quite ruthless, I thought. He just kind of,
to be fair, not as ruthless as the end of the episode.
Well, no, not. But he might as well have
He
might as well have turned around and says, you know what, put a bullet in them, I couldn't give two shits. But he didn't. He just played it cool, and I loved that. That whole little scene was just fantastic. But guessing these are Negan's people, I mean, for most part of the episode, I was dubious that they were. I wasn't sure if they were going to be.
Well, there was that line from Cigarette Smoking Woman who she said to Carol were all Negan.
Yeah, that was kind of when
that was
you
quite a good
realised.
line.
But for the most part of the episode, I'm sitting there thinking, these aren't Negan's people. These are just like the people like Daryl bumped into in the woods. These are just random like people. But then we found out they were Negan's people, and my God, Negan's people are very much organised here. People like they were doing like soldier code over the radio.
Yeah,
it was like Alpha
was
to
impressive.
Bravo, and I'm sitting there going, "Holy shit!"
I'm with you there. I was sitting there thinking, these guys have got their head screwed on.
Oh yeah. And what did we think of? Because I think it's from there that we pretty much, Carol and Maggie are taken to what is the kill floor.
Yeah, little shout out for that for the camera work in that
unbelievable
scene as well.
Do you mean the hoods where they're
how good was
that? Yeah,
how good was that, man? That was excellent.
It was quite tense. It was brilliant. Like I'm sitting there and I was thinking, are they showing us this because Carol's maybe counting the footsteps, or like some sort of Jason Bourne type thing? But no, it was just because it looked fucking badass.
Yeah.
And you kind of, like I say, you got the radio talk over the top of it. I was just like, that's fantastic. Like, yeah, obviously shout out.
There's lots of them for this episode, though.
And then we get to what was it? It was another Negan compound. Like, how many strong?
Yeah, it was a compound, wasn't it? They kind of lock Carol and Maggie up in the what's like a sort of secure room, like a lockdown room.
Yeah, for me, this kind of answered a query that I had the last episode when they turned up at the compound, and they go in there and they badass their way through, pretty much killing everyone, and you're left thinking, well, there's got to be more than this, and it's really clear from seeing what these people have been like coming to this compound that. The Alexandrians have really only been exposed to what could potentially be a small part of the Savior's, abodes.
Yeah, there's clearly like he's clearly got a few places to stay, and at one point when they're taking out the walkers, does one of them not say, "We haven't been here for a while now"? So it's kind of like
because a couple of the walkers have gotten loose and what have you. Haven't they? And by the way. You were speaking about camera work and what have you. Another shout out is when they take, is it Carol or Maggie's hood off?
Carol.
And there's the walker right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I won't
the knife
lie.
then comes through the walker's head to work. That was actually a proper fucking jump moment.
It was a bit of a jump
fantastic.
Scare. I have to admit, I kind of jumped back a little bit. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
for a second, I'm like, they've just killed Carol. But, obviously they never.
Yeah, there was. That was the first of that was the first of a couple of real kind of heart in mouth moments.
So this is where we're going to spend the episode, and we don't really move away from here. It's all kind of one set, a couple of different rooms, and we meet. Obviously, we've got Maggie and Carol, obviously, and then we have, I think there was 4 of them. There was 3 women and the guy. And did it strike anyone how similar Carol's character and the gingerbird, Alicia Witt, that was quite a similar character, but not only that, but the girl who sat across from Maggie in that room, like there was huge similarities going on here.
Well, there was Sorry, go on, Chris.
On you go, Hayes. On you go. No, it's okay.
No, sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say, there was one line in particular. I mean, I don't know if I want to kind of get to it too early. Maybe we want to wait until we are in that room with Carol and that other lass. But yeah,
I know the one you're going to make. That was actually what I was going to say. So go ahead.
Yeah,
just say it.
Cool.
Just say it.
Well,
we'll...
yeah. Well, clearly we all know what line it is. Then it's when she goes, you're not the good guys. You know, I hope you know that. And yeah, man. I mean, how right can you be? They're all in the same boat. Everyone's trying to make their own way. And everyone's. I mean, when you take a step back and look at the situation, and the ginger lass even said that we need to find her name up. Paula. We're going with Paula.
It's called Paula.
Yeah.
It's Paula. It is Paula.
Yeah, Paula. So, I mean, when she pointed out, mine's gone blank. Yeah, sorry, my mind's gone completely blank. Just trying to think of her name.
Is it because of the?
I better let you carry on.
Is it because of the awesome intros put you off a little bit?
The awesome intro did throw me a hell of a lot, to be fair. Yeah, and just shaking off the last of the Walker, the Walker flu.
I will. You kind of this. Like I say, this is where we're going to spend the episode. We get some fantastic, just awesome, amazing monologuing from Paula, from Carol. I mean, Melissa McBride in this episode is so fucking amazing. I couldn't comprehend how much I was loving that character in that moment. And I'm sitting there.
Well, she reverts to Jesus Christ. Sorry, my dog's just farting.
This is going well, isn't
it? The beauties of being on Blab.
She kind of reverts to sort of invisible Carol, doesn't she? She starts hyperventilating with the rag in her mouth. Was that real? Was that fake? See, there's a line in this episode with Carol where you don't know. Some of it was real, some of it was fake.
It's an extremely blurry line, of course. Like, I mean, Carol is just so great here. Like, she's trying to protect Maggie. I think she's trying to go covertly under the radar, kind of as she did in Alexandria. Sort of, she's going to play the long game, and then I think by about 3/4 of the way through the episode, I'd say, the long game's not working. We just need to. Yeah. But I mean,
that was actually a scene that made me feel quite uncomfortable when she was hyperventilating on the rag.
It made
that was pretty fucking horrible, to be honest.
It was a little bit, but I think it was supposed to be because I
know it was supposed to be.
She was trying to get a reaction out of her captors, you know.
Yeah. She wanted them to think she's weak, she's religious, and all that. Then she can just go into Rambo Carol mode, which she did
eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
I mean, I think with that scene, like you guys at the start, and a little bit, I was getting a little bit of this from Maggie as well, because Maggie was kind of initially looking over and thinking, "Are you all right?" Or
she wasn't she? Yeah.
Maggie was genuinely worried. Like,
yeah, I think even Maggie got to the point where it was, where she was thinking, she might actually be, and we were probably all getting to that point at the same sort of time. Like, fuck, she is actually hyperventilating here. I mean, I mean, Christ, you talk about the Emmy for Melissa McBride. I mean, that scene was, oh man. I mean, she had tears in her eyes, and it was gut wrenching.
She was amazing in that scene.
I think, I don't know, man. I even thinking about it now, I'm still flip flopping over whether over how much she was faking any of it.
So do we think that Carol is slowly losing the edge? Do we think?
I think it's more rediscovering her humanity, to be honest.
I like that.
I think I would agree with you there, Hayes.
Someone stick a hashtag on that.
Sorry, what was that?
I said stick a hashtag on that.
Hashtag.
No.
Rediscovering her humanity.
I like that. I never thought of it like that, but I do actually like that.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the Rambo Carol episode, all the stuff that she went through with, the little girls, going out in the woods and looking at the flowers. I mean, the stuff with Sam. She spent so much time avoiding the humanity of the situation, of the situation that she's in for the good of. I mean, even going right back to the prison days when she, when she killed the people that were on the turn. And I think it's just finally starting to catch up with it. And I do think it's been the interplay with Morgan that's caused it.
Yeah, so Morgan's had a deeply profound effect here. It's something that's gonna keep messing with her, and I mean, hopefully it doesn't mess with her for too long, because we got a nice little scene right at the end of the episode, and we'll get there, that it just totally pulled me right back to the whole thing, and I'm hoping it's gonna get there. I mean, this whole episode was literally just Maggie and Carol just trying to look out for each other. It was strange. Like, Maggie was going Rick. She was turning into Rick, kind of losing her fucking mind, and it was like, what is going on with Maggie? And then Carol was kind of going soft. It was sort of a role reversal. Like, the whole episode, as much as I'm sat there thinking, this is one of the best hours of Walking Dead television I've seen in a long time, I'm sat there thinking, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck? Like,
well, that's the thing, though, because I loved Maggie in this episode as well.
Me too, yeah.
She had some proper badass moments in this episode, but it was very much the case of what the fuck is going on here. Carol kind of pinched the rosary beads, and then obviously she's holding on to them because she wants them to think that she's religious, because it's a sign of weakness and all that kind of thing.
Because we can't hammer that home enough.
No, yeah. We all know that anyway. But then they leave her in the room, and she's sort of sharpening the end of the crucifix on the floor.
Oh yeah, awesome.
But it just sliced some bastard's throat open.
Yeah.
So, and then, I can't remember how far into the episode. I think it's after they bugger off and leave her, and she just kind of goes, and then she does her thing, which was cool.
She does steady her nerves quite a bit, like.
Yeah, when she flipped the script, when she was left alone in the room, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how did we feel with the guy going a little bit akka on Carol and starting to?
Well, this is something about the show as well, as it was really hammering home the idea of strong women.
Oh yeah, God yes.
I mean, Christ. I mean, some of the lines when when you had Paula saying things like, "Oh, I could kill him in my his sleep if I wanted to," and
and the fact that the first guy she killed was her boss. Like, as soon as it had started, it hadn't even
that was awesome.
It hadn't even really started, but she killed her boss because he was a fucking liability. It's like, whoa! Even that was shouting girl power towards the end.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, and the only man there is kind of seen as this, and seen as this kind of pathetic guy who can't even handle a lousy gunshot.
No, he really couldn't. He really couldn't use.
No, but and Paula even made a comment about it as well when she says, "Oh, men can't deal with pain."
Oh, we're built for childbirth and that. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, like, if I'm in the room with her, I'm just standing back saying, "Nope, you're right, love. We can't. I'm sorry. You just carry on.
just leave me alone.
I'm not arguing.
I'm in a room with Carol, Maggie, and you. No, it's all right. It's all right. So
do you know what? I'm not even going to try and bone you. I'm going to leave it.
I know I share my bed with you already, but I'm not going there. It was a bit blasé how she was like, he's just somebody I share my bed with. I was like, sat there going, oh man, you're badass. Yeah. Like, I wanted to see her become something in the show, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I was a little bit, I mean, we're skipping ahead there, but I was a little bit gutted with what came later, if I'm honest with you.
No,
with this episode, that's the thing, though. Events-wise, there's not anything sort of major happens in the episode.
No, I think that's why we're kind of going off script a little bit, and we're not exactly following a timeline, because there's not really a timeline to follow.
It's just a nice kind of, what did you say before? It's a nice contained episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's not really anything
I think it's
major happens other than the big sort of finale of the episode.
Oh, see for me, there's so many interesting scenes. I mean, it's testament that you can have, as you were saying earlier, Kev, just one reasonably small set, a small handful of actors just kind of wandering in and out of rooms, minimal zombie stuff, really, and so much to bounce off. Are we almost at the point where? Well, yeah, I guess the first thing that you had was when they first left Carol and Maggie in the room alone, and they had that sort of quick little shuffle around to see what they could do, and then they come back in and they sort of go back to like, oh no, we haven't been doing anything here. And after that, I guess you've got the scene with the other lass who's kind of the the Maggie equivalent, where they take her off into a room and
I love that.
Have a chat with her. That was a really, really good. Really good few scenes.
Both those women. I mean, Maggie was super powerful in this episode. Like for a change, she was super powerful. I didn't like her very much in that role back at the hilltop when she was like with Gregory and she's doing all the stuff. Like it didn't really bother me. I know you used to gushed over that, but it didn't really bother me. But in this episode, I did. I loved the power play she was having with the other lass. I can't remember what her name was, Moles or something like that. But just the whole... And of course, we find out that she was seeing one of the guys that Daryl blew up. That was a nice little tie-in to find out that... So the consequences of what Daryl did at the start are definitely already known to the Saviors. They already they're fully aware that Daryl's out there. Like, because we've been operating under this whole feeling that the Saviors, the thing that the survivors have is the element of surprise. In this episode, when she mentions the fact that her boyfriend got blown up by someone, it really sounds to me like the element of surprise isn't going to be as big as they think it is. Yeah,
particularly with how organised they are, and that brings me back to what I was trying to remember earlier on when my mind went blank. From the Saviour's perspective, Rick's group are a bunch of assholes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, look at what they've done. Pretty much. I mean, yeah. Granted, the scene with Daryl. And Sasha and Abraham a few episodes ago blowing them up. I mean, fair dues, they were provoked and weren't really left with many options there. But I mean, last episode they've effectively just been told by some people at a different settlement, yeah, these guys are kind of bad. Can you sort them out for us?
Definitely.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We'll go and murder them all in their sleep. No problem.
completely unprovoked. They go in like a bunch of ninjas, kill half the compound, and then they move on to the next compound. Well, I suppose they don't move on. The two of them are taken to the next compound where they annihilate everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point,
at
this point, if one person meets Lucille, I think they're getting away with it quite easily. To be fair,
and I think we are going to be fairly sympathetic towards the Saviors when this does happen, because it's going to be like, well, you know what, they kind of had it coming.
Yeah, and this brings you back to that line of you realise you're not the good guys.
Yeah, definitely. From their perspective, the survivors really aren't the good guys. Like you say, it's crazy that the show's it's blurring that line for us. It's kind of it's starting to play with my head quite a bit on this, like,
which is brilliant. These are the sorts of questions that this show should have been asking a long time ago, and they're finally there now. We've got lots of moral ambiguity. It's fucking exciting, man.
So are we kind of getting off that fence and saying, you know what, it's going to turn bad sooner or later? Because it kind of doesn't look like it's going to right now.
I think they've got their shit together this season.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
Do you think?
I mean, I think possibly the last. I'm not a fan of the. I've never been a fan of the whole thing that the writers strike brought in about having mid-season breaks and stuff, because I don't think it's particularly good for the pace and the shows. Yeah, it's almost like in between the last half season, which was a bit of a disaster, to this half season now. It's like two different shows. You've got the same subject matter, so a lot of the same sets and scenarios. But it is night and day watching last half season to what we've got now. It's ridiculous. It's almost as if they knew that the 365 guys were going to be getting together and talking about it and giving them a load of shit, right? And they're like, do you know what, guys? Fuck you. We're going to make a good show.
Get your act together before we 365 cut you.
Yeah, exactly.
I know what you're saying. It is completely like night and day, and I'm so loving the way this is going. And
I'm head over heels with it at the minute. It's excellent. It's right up there. It's almost like The Walking Dead is finally sort of joining in with the golden age of television.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is a position it used to be in, and it just started dying. It's like they kept changing showrunners, they kept changing writers, they kept bringing in all these new directors. I mean, you started off with Darabont, then you had Mazzara, and now you've got Gimple. They just kept throwing people out, and there was no real consistency. And I think Gimple and Kirkman together have they've got to that stage where it's like, you know what, we need to buck our ideas up. And, I do think it was probably that last half season, and probably the defining moment for them realising we have to start working things out was the Glenn thing. It pissed
the backlash from that.
A lot of people were not happy with that. I think they thought they were being quite clever, and it just ended up huffing everyone.
I agree. I think they thought, I think they definitely thought they were being clever, and they're going to love this, or let's do this whole bait and switch thing. But nah, the internet backlash actually had an effect, which is something.
I think it did. I honestly think it did. So we had that awesome scene with the Maggie and the other bird. And then quickly following that, was it before that or was it after that we got the scene with Carol and the ginger lass, and the ginger lass telling her the story. I mean, there was some great monologuing in this episode, but Melissa McBride was clearly taking the trophy. How did we feel when it all kind of switched towards the end? Where were our heads at when kind of they went out? I think they got a call off Rick, didn't they, over the CB?
Yeah.
And Rick was basically calling the bluff, which, to be honest, at that point, you're
going to make the trade.
Exactly, but I honestly thought Rick and Daryl and the rest of them, I honestly thought they were already there. I thought they're probably at the wall, looking through the windows, waiting for them just to fuck up. That didn't quite happen that way, but I thought that's where it was going, and then it didn't. Everything kind of went south. They decided to clear out the walkers. And that's when Carol and Maggie became ultra badass Carol and Maggie.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about an episode that not a great deal is happening. It's all contained in one position, and you're just getting these powerhouse performances on a show like The Walking Dead, which is about the fucking zombie apocalypse. And you're getting these unbelievable performances that this show, it has a right to have those performances, but you're not expecting them. You're not.
I mean, it completely proves that it's all about the competency of the writers and the direction. I mean, if you take some of the scenes in this episode with Maggie in particular, go back to the hospital arc a couple of seasons ago, where Maggie's sister, obviously, Maggie's performance there, because of the way that the show had framed it, fell completely flat. It didn't come across at all like she actually gave a flying fuck about her sister because of the way that and I mean this episode and this half season are really proven that you give these you give these actors the right material, the right direction, and the room to breathe, and they can fucking bring it, man.
Oh, I mean, of course they can.
Jesus Christ, Lauren Cohn she was excellent this episode. I mean,
she was excellent. She was. Now, here's where I've got a niggle. Is this guy holding up his belt? No, here's where I've got a niggle, right? So Maggie kind of is still tied up. Carol comes in to rescue her, which is all well and good. Now, what I wanted to see in this bit, because Carol's kind of been playing invisible Carol, weak Carol to lower their guard and what have you, all good, that's fine. But my niggle with this particular bit where she's rescued Maggie is, I wanted to see Carol take the lead.
Yeah, she's still very much
take charge. That she was letting Maggie lead her through the corridors and all that.
Yeah.
Like Maggie didn't know that she was being invisible Carol. Surely Maggie knows that it's fucking Rambo Carol. Rambo Carol knows her shit. She's a badass. So why would Maggie be leading Carol? Surely Maggie would be going, what do we do?
It's all
that was my niggle with that, how that bit went. I mean, I know it changed in a minute when, we know what happens during the fight.
Yeah.
But, which we'll get to in a second. But, that was my little niggle with that. I wanted to see Carol say, come with me if you want to live, kind of thing.
Well, what I would say to that is I agree with you. That's definitely a niggle, but a possible reason for that is Maggie could have just had really good bit of intuition, knowing the mental state that Carol was in at that time, and just knew that she couldn't, that she couldn't act in a full Rambo Carol capacity, which is bollocks because she did what needed to be done when it needed to be done.
Yeah.
Apart from that kind of stutter at the end with Paula, but I mean, Paula kind of deserved more than just getting her head blown off nice and easy. She deserved a better scene, and fuck, did we get that?
Yes, we did.
So how did we actually feel about Carol going all Morgan and basically telling her to run
and going, we should go, and Maggie's the one who says, no, we have to take them out.
I completely understand what you're saying. Like, all the way through the episode, she's like, she wants to help Maggie, she wants to protect Maggie, but when it comes time to actually do the protecting, she was basically letting Maggie take the lead. I see what you're saying. It was a little bit strange.
I almost think she had a bit of a mental breakdown this episode, and we witnessed it right before our eyes in that room.
There was a definite point. There was a definite point.
Yeah. I don't know. Normally, that's the sort of thing that on this show I would be jumping down its throat, kicking off about it being, going completely against the character, their motivations and their normal characteristics. But I just thought the way that they framed the whole thing when they got captured and Carol hyperventilating and all that, I was just prepared for anything with how I felt that I felt after that point that Carol was in this just unpredictable mental state, and I didn't know which way she was going to go.
Yeah,
I didn't know whether she was going to be just crying in a heap on the floor, or all of a sudden just, I'm Rambo Carol, and then just start blowing everyone's brains out.
But that's normally what we see from Carol, is she's pretending to be, all beaten and downtrodden and all that kind of thing, and then, etc.
Yeah.
It was good. It was. I know. Exactly.
But then she did that. She did that because Maggie's been all kick-ass. She has the fight with, was it Paula at that point?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was the other one, wasn't it? It was the other one, and she cut Maggie's stomach.
Doppelganger Maggie.
And then next thing you know, Carol's there.
So let's just deal with the attempted escape. They kind of get free. Think they go off to clear away all the walkers, and Maggie's still in that room by herself, and Carol kind of comes to and decides it's time to go and to make a break. She gets outside, and big fat cigarette smoking woman is taking on two zombies and fucking loving it. Is it this point where she kind of goes back to get Maggie after she sees that, or did she take her out?
She.
That was on the way to get Maggie, wasn't it?
Yeah, she went to get Maggie, and then the cigarette smoking woman kind of came in afterwards, and she was like, "What you Maggie?" Because they killed the guy, didn't they? And they tied the cat, which I thought was just such an amazing walker trap, just to tie him up. So
that's right. He
was like a pet. I was kind of sat there going, "Cool," and then she comes running in. The dead walker guy kind of bites her face and nibbles on her a little bit. And she's all like, and kind of thing, and it all goes south.
You guys?
She's not happy when she gets bitten, by the way. She's really not happy.
Nah.
So, and is that when Maggie goes full Rick, full Carol, and she's on top of the woman, and she's bashing her fucking brains out?
Oh, yeah.
The whole episode, I'm loving what's going on, but when I saw Maggie do that, I'm like, okay, I'm completely and utterly confused about the motivation here. She went off the reservation.
She did, but don't forget, the whole time she's probably sitting there thinking, I've got this baby, I've got to get out of here, I've got to get back to Glenn, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, and holding all of that stuff in and trying to be calm and that, there's going to be moments where you need to release it. So again, normally I'd be kicking off about it, but I can understand it with the way they framed it.
They do pay it off right at the very end. She says one thing to Glenn and it pays everything off. Her whole character in that whole episode pays off completely.
Yeah,
so
when she's like, I can't do this.
It's just at that point I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so you wanted to help Glenn, but you kind of don't want to get too far into it. Carol's trying to protect you, but you've just gone completely psycho on this woman and just bludgeoned her to death. It was just kind of...
Honestly, I'm happy with that.
I was
happy with it.
Absolutely. I think it's the case where she wanted to help and all that, but then they put her back up against the wall. She's pregnant and she just fucking kicked off.
Yeah, and then they escape the room, and there is Paula in the hallway, and it's all like, run, go away, get over here. We'll run. No, we have to kill them all. I'll let Paula go. No, we can't let Paula go. And then that other bird comes in, Doppelganger Maggie comes in. And who here thought she'd made a cut?
Yeah. Chris, do you want to describe that scene again?
She made a cut. Oh, the bit where Carol kills her.
No, like the I mean, that was fucking awesome. We'll get there in a second. But when the Maggie and the other bird are fighting and she cuts her t-shirt right where the stomach is.
Yeah.
Like,
now that was the biggest heart in mouth moment in the episode for me. I was just
I absolutely I was sat almost at the front of my chair, and the next thing I knew I was right at the back of the chair. I was like, no! Like, yeah. I know what I said in last week's episode.
When she looked, and oh man, yeah, I just, yeah, fuck man. And then Carol just, yeah, like Chris was saying before, Carol's, reaction, she did, credit to her, just snap into instant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this needs dealing with now, right now.
Because that was batshit. Yeah. That was like, what the fuck? She just kind of turns the corner and boom, gone. Needed doing. It's like she was, when you start slashing at a pregnant woman's stomach, game over, man. Oh yeah.
But then that was like the thing that was pushing Carol over the edge the whole time, isn't it? That Maggie's baby was being endangered at that point.
Well, it's what she said right at the start of the
episode. Blow her fucking head off.
She said it right at the start of the episode, like, leave her alone, not her, not the baby. Which straight away, I'm like, why the fuck are you telling them she's got a baby inside her? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I didn't, yeah. But then that was one thing where I was thinking, why are you revealing that?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But I think it was revealed to lead up to that t-shirt slash.
Yeah,
to be honest, I think that was a plan. That was definitely a planned, a planned scene.
It was kind of to show the fact that these people, when their backs are against the walls, like the survivors have been all these series, they'll do whatever they have to do.
Exactly, yeah. That goes back to the whole, moral ambiguity thing.
Oh, definitely. And then we get the, I think it's from there that we get Paula.
It's the end, sort of the final,
just great.
The final boss fight, isn't it, kind of thing?
Just absolutely.
There was an awesome line. I'm going to see if I can remember because her and Carol can have a bit of a monologue off to each other.
Yeah.
Before they start fighting.
Monologue off.
Carol goes, was it? This is what I was afraid of, or something like this.
Yeah.
And
I was afraid of this. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. And that was some fucking powerful shit as well.
Yeah, I do love when what was it the lassie said to her in the room when she was kind of like you don't want to see my you don't want to see me or something like that, the real me or something. I can't remember the exact line that Carol said, but the way she said it was sort of like she's like, you don't know who I can be, and she kind of, it was something like that, and she's kind of, you do not want to see me.
That's it. I think Haze, you mentioned it earlier on. There was sort of correlations between the Paula character and Carol at our most Rambo Carol-ness.
Oh, definitely.
Throughout the episode, and then they had the big fight off.
So,
and then we get a pretty gruesome death out of it.
That was brilliant.
One of my favourites, but to be completely honest, I didn't want to see it. It
was the same with the guy in the first episode.
Yeah,
Carol blew up. I didn't want to see him die.
Well. That's two awesome characters who could have been mainstay characters that you could have watched for seasons to come, and they've killed them. You have to think, I think Haze has said this a couple of times so far, that if they're doing things like this, they must be super confident about what's to come. They must be.
Yeah, I mean, with this, see again, I'm happy with it. I mean, the woman.
This is a strange one for you, isn't it?
It is.
You must have been sat there going, what are these feelings I'm having?
It's very strange. Next I'm going to be putting lavender on my pillows before I go to bed. Yeah.
That's not a wanking metaphor, is it?
Taking the show to new lows there. I like it.
We've done worse.
we have. Did you hear our thunderclap escapades.
Thunderclap escapades.
Oh, on the last episode we were talking about thunderclaps, and then we urban dictionaried it to it wasn't good. We maybe should have kept that one to ourselves.
What the hell was the meaning again?
But yeah, getting back to, it was something to do with like a ball bag.
Going balls deep.
Going balls deep. So getting back to what you were saying there, Hayes, sorry, I totally derailed you.
You what, sorry?
I totally derailed you there. What was you saying?
Oh, I've got no hope of getting back to that specific thought.
So basically, yeah, that's kind of, she gets her throat like just eaten out, and then
oh, sorry, that's right. Yeah, sorry. It's just come back. Strong character. I'm totally fine with it. You know, with it being used for an episode, and I mean, we've got so many, new characters, in the show as it is. I'll admit that the guy in the first episode of this half season, I think he clearly could have been used a bit more. I mean, he seemed to have some real charisma about him, and the subtotal of his scene. I mean, what? He had about a minute's worth of screen time, maybe 2.
Yeah.
And he gave off, more reasons for us to want to watch him than Abraham has the entire time he's been on the show. But no, I mean this. Paula, I think she had she had her moments. We don't need to have too many people as mainstays. We know we've got Negan coming. There are other strong characters in the Saviors, and I think it was important that everyone in this group, everyone that we saw this episode, had to die as part of the original plan as well. So it would have been strange if she'd got away. But although it would have also been very interesting if she'd taken Carol up on the offer to run. Because that was an out. That was an out, and she didn't take it.
Could you imagine if she goes back to Alexandria and Morgan's like, you know what? Fuck you.
What about? Oh man, the things they could have done. I mean,
it's like, you've been talking shit about me. So they get their hands on a radio because some of the Saviors come back. Because remember, this is kind of the whole basis of this episode, is that they take them to this compound to wait for the cavalry to come in and give them a hand. So they get on the radio, and Carol does her best impersonation of Paula, which I didn't think her impersonation was that good, if I'm honest with you. Bless her, she took her time trying to work out how she was going to do it. So I'll let her off with that. And my fucking Christ.
She did sound ginger, to be fair.
Is that all it had to be? She just had to sound ginger.
She's kind of like, look, it's me, listen.
And then they were kind of like sat in that room. Maggie and Carol were in that room, and I'm sort of like, what the hell's going on here? And I thought for the whole episode, the way it was, kind of Maggie took Carol's role quarter of the way through, Carol took Maggie's role quarter of the way through, and then by the end they were back to being who they should be. And it was incredible what Carol done. I absolutely loved that scene. One of my favourite scenes of this series so far. I know it wasn't much, but the way she just closed that door and threw the cigarette in, and the fucking place went alight, I was sat there like, Jesus.
Yeah, it was that was superb, and I could just see, the kind of mournful look in Carol's face as well. I could just see her thinking 18, 19, 20. Man.
Which, by the way, I'm still calling bullshit on. It's way more than 18.
Yeah, definite.
There's no way.
Yeah, she's gone way past that, man.
That was quite a good scene though, when she's sitting there and she's going, "I've killed 18 people," and then she kind of like stopped for a second and went, 20 people. I love that. And then the rest of the survivors came in a minute too late. They'd already done the job, and Rick comes in feeling pretty good with himself, and you get a fantastic scene with Glenn and Maggie. I mean, I find myself as perplexed as you, Hayes, because this is a relationship I'm not rooting for anymore. I'm not fussed. But when they kind of met up, and she kind of looked at him and she was like, "I can't do this."
Yeah,
just amazing.
It was fucking brilliant. It was really, really powerful stuff.
It was, and again, it's like less is more. You don't have to say too much. Just say what needs to be said. She says that to him, and then Daryl comes in, puts his arm around Carol, like, first...
Yeah.
Straight
over to Carol. Yeah, I love that as well.
It was the first interaction.
Seeing them two hug.
Oh, it was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And then, what did he say? Are you okay? And she said, no.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I know she wasn't.
That was all she said.
But again, we haven't had much Daryl-Carol interaction, and I needed some. And that...
Oh, man.
That made up for, like... You could have 3 seasons without that relationship, and that one scene makes up for it. It was just
absolutely, man.
It was just gorgeous. I loved it. And then Rick does the business. Rick goes Rick Rams, just like.
I mean, that was just a fight. Yeah, that was just a final. Just brilliant. When a guy goes, "Yeah, I'm Negan," it's just like, "Yeah, fuck you."
I was literally sat there going, not what you want to say.
Yeah,
and Rick,
you could just see Rick just instantly get bored of what he was saying. It was like there was no anger, there was no sort of urgency. It was just boredom with the situation.
It was just like, okay, and then he just shot himself, and then went, what?
What?
I absolutely, like, you saw that coming a mile off. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't say I did see that a mile off, because I would like to think Rick's at the point where he needs to take someone who he can actually question, but this clearly isn't him. It's just not his. It's not his MO, you know. He'd rather shoot first and ask questions later. But
yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting. But yeah, it goes back to the moral ambiguity thing. But yeah, it would have been interesting to actually take that guy back to Alexandria, stick him in a room, and fucking stick pins in him or something until he starts talking.
To be fair,
burning his toes.
He doesn't know that Morgan's building this prison yet.
Yeah.
So he didn't think he had.
Is that what that was? He's building a prison.
I'm assuming that's what it is. It looked very much like a prison. It's like the flashback episode when he was.
Is that for Morgan to go in himself?
I hope so. I fucking hope so.
Is it to lock people up and stuff?
But remember that flashback episode when he met Eastman and Eastman locked him up? Hopefully he's not going to leave the bloody door open. But, it's Morgan, so he probably will. But in saying that, we pretty much end the episode there, and we kind of have Carol sort of looking at Rick. I kind of thought Carol was feeling a little bit sort of, it's not going to end, is it? Because she's gone through a lot in this episode. The last few episodes, her arc is just so intriguing and interesting, and I can't wait to see what else Melissa McBride's going to do for the rest of the series. I'm loving her. Yeah,
well, I mean, we've gone from the last episode. I mean, I told you this, Kev. I think I was thinking that Carol was the favourite to meet Lucille.
Yeah.
This episode has been the show just reminding us all, what this character's got left, what she's all about, and fucking hell, man, this she's awesome. When she's given the screen time and the right material, there's few people better on this show. I'm still on, and especially after this episode, I'm still on Maggie. I've locked my bets in on that. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Because I know that nobody got away, but because Carol had painted herself as a weak, cry shit fighter kind of thing, and it was apparently Maggie that took the reins and was leading her through the thing and was killing everybody and all that kind of thing. So that would make sense if they went after Maggie rather than Carol. So do you think this was like a Carol double bluff? She doesn't want to go under the hammer, so she puts Maggie in the line. I like that. Good thinking. No, I'm not saying she did it intentionally. That's cold. That's some cold shit. That's some cold shit. So that's the episode anyway. Yeah, that's. But we're not done yet, are we, Kev? No, we're not. We're going to come back in a minute. I'm just going to play a quick bumper for another podcast. We'll come back in a minute and we'll do some final thoughts. I'm Jason. I'm Jeff. And I'm Blake from the History of Bad Ideas. And we'll get back to your regularly scheduled program here in just a second, geek listeners. But we do a weekly podcast called The History of Bad Ideas. Yeah, well, we'll discuss things like television or movies or music or games or any other thing that falls into our geek-related podcast knowledge. You can find us on Geek Life Radio, Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central.
or Radio-Blitz. Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central, or you can listen to us whenever the hell you want on iTunes and Stitcher.
Check us out. Roger says goodbye.
Goodbye.
So we're interrupting the talking heads for a second, Kev, because we have something very special for the listeners tonight. We were joined by none other than Ross Marquand earlier on today, a.k.a. Aaron from The Walking Dead. We were lucky enough to do an interview with him. So we are going to join the interview now, already in progress. So how are you doing today?
Fine. How are you guys?
Excellent. Yeah, we're very well, thank you. Yeah, we've been looking forward to this all day.
Terrific. So are you guys all caught up on the show?
We are, yes. We watched the episode last night.
Great.
Okay, it was all very good. All very good.
Last night's
Oh, good. I haven't seen it myself. They didn't have Sky in the hotel we're staying at, so unfortunately I'm going to have to watch it when I get back, I think.
Yeah, we were very, very impressed with last night's episode. No Aaron, though.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a more Maggie and Carol heavy episode for sure.
Yeah.
But can I just ask quickly before we crack on? Is it Aaron or Aaron?
Aaron, I suppose. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Just because we say it quite differently.
Oh yeah,
so
all right.
I just want to clear that up.
Yeah, no worries.
We do a film and TV podcast, and when The Walking Dead started back, we've been doing like a reaction review to The Walking Dead each week.
Great.
So obviously in the UK we get it on a Monday night, so we do it on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
We're going live tonight on a platform called Blab, and it's quite good. It's like a little interactive platform.
That's great.
With respect to yourself, obviously you're in the UK right now, touring some of the Showmasters Comic-Con events.
Yes, we just got done with Bournemouth, and we're going to be heading up to Newcastle next week, or this weekend rather.
Yeah, we're heading down to Newcastle to meet you there.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we'll certainly be sure to come up and shake your hand and see how it's going.
Please do.
The first question I want to ask you: are you going to be there on the Sunday as well? Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be there both days.
Are you fully aware that it's probably the worst day to be in Newcastle?
Is that right?
Yeah, it's there's a what do they call it? A Tyneside derby?
Northeast derby. It's a football match. Are you aware of the teams that are playing on Sunday?
Oh, so it's going to be pretty mental up there, huh?
Yes, it is a little. It does get a little bit mental. It's Newcastle versus Sunderland, and basically they're old enemies going right back to the English Civil War.
Oh man!
So when they have their derby, it tends to get a little bit not riots or anything, but it gets a little bit raucous in Newcastle at times.
Oh my goodness! I can't wait. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's just to let you know where you're going down there on the Sunday, and that's that game's going on. I think it's half 1:30 kickoff. It is
1:30.
Yeah. So if you want to pop out to the pub to watch that'll be great.
I think that's where I'll probably spend my lunch hour there. That'd be great.
Yeah,
nice one. Good
stuff. So what, as Kev said just now, you're touring the UK doing the Showmasters events. So what do you enjoy most about attending the Comic-Con events?
Well, I think that, for me, since I was a fan of the show first, I started watching it that first Halloween episode in 2010, and I was instantly hooked. So I feel like, Josh McDermott and Michael Cudlitz and I have said the same thing, basically, which is we feel like we've won the fan lottery. We were fans of the show first, and now we're on one of our favorite shows. And it's just the most amazing feeling to, go to these conventions and meet fans who are genuinely excited to meet you and interact and talk about the show and talk about, your background and hear your theories. Of course, we can't really say too much. Because it's a tight-lipped show, but it's just the most amazing thing to have that interaction. I think 40, 50 years ago, you might have liked one of your actors and put up a poster of them on the wall, but you never got a chance to meet them. And I think that the great thing about what Showmasters does and what these conventions do for fans is that it allows them that face-to-face interaction that you wouldn't otherwise have.
Yeah, it's very much changing the culture of being what you would call, 20, 30 years ago, being a geek, It's totally changed it. The fact that we can come and meet you guys, I mean, this is what we enjoy about going to the cons. We kind of just last year, but it's great getting to meet you guys.
Well, absolutely. And, I've gotten to meet some of my favorites as well, over the years. I got to meet William Shatner at a convention a few years ago, and that was, the inner geek in me watching Star Trek growing up was was highly satiated by me. And you meet all sorts of great different fandoms all over the world at these conventions, and it's just the most amazing thing, because you realize, these people that you've elevated to an obscenely high level of fame and whatnot, they're actually just really nice, wonderful people, and it's just kind of nice to have that interaction with them on a personal level.
Sure. So was William Shatner your favorite person that you've met?
He was one of them. I also would say I met Mike Tyson too. We had we shared a plane ride over for a convention in Ohio last year, and he was just the sweetest guy. You wouldn't expect it, based on what he does for a living, but he was the sweetest guy on the planet. He was actually a real nice guy.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I would love to meet Mike Tyson, but obviously William Shatner, obviously, Definitely.
Absolutely.
So obviously you play Aaron on The Walking Dead. So what's your favourite part about playing Aaron?
Well, I think that the thing that attracted me most to the character is that he's a guy who's been in these high pressure situations before. I mean, before the apocalypse began, he was working for an NGO in Western Africa, and he had drug lords and warlords pointing AK-47s in his face all the time, and he was in these pressure cooker situations where life and death was always highly in question. And I think that's people initially didn't know if they could trust Aaron because he seemed too comfortable and seemed too calm around Rick and his threats of violence. And he just simply said to him, I'm used to this. This is par for the course for me.
Sure.
And I think that gives him a bit of an edge on other people, other survivors in the apocalypse, because he's dealt with that long before the apocalypse even began. So for him, this new world is almost a return to normalcy in many respects.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that did definitely show in the TV show that when he met Rick and he had a gun pointed to his head and all that kind of thing. That definitely did come across.
Yeah, it was great.
So you say that you were a fan of the show first before you got on. You were a big fan. Were you also a fan of the material, or have you kind of separated yourself from the book sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I had read the part, of course they give you fake scripts, so you're not really sure what you're auditioning for. But as soon as I booked the part, I glimpsed over the compendiums briefly at my buddy's house years before, because I was a huge fan of the show and I wanted to see kind of what was happening. And then I never really delved into it until I got the part, and then as soon as I did, I ran out to the bookstore, bought the compendiums, read through them as fast as I could, and it was mostly just to get an idea of who Aaron was and what made him tick. And after that, there were some spoilers that were being revealed for future episodes, and I said, I got to put this down because I want to, as a fan myself, I want to genuinely be surprised, especially because there are, of course, deviations from the source material and the actual the show. So for me, it was just important to kind of maintain a level of secrecy within myself. So I got what I needed from the compendiums, and Kirkman's laid out these incredible characters for us. So he's laid out a really nice blueprint for all of us to follow. And then after that, Scott Gimple, our showrunner, said, we would like you to color this character with your own ideas and with your own clues from the script, and just run with it. And that's the great freedom we've had on the show. I think all of us have.
That's cool.
That is cool. That is very cool. I mean, Aaron is a really solid character in the comics. So what preparation did you do going into the role once you knew you got the part?
Well, for one thing, I researched the hell out of NGOs, and I wanted to see exactly what because you always read about people who go into these situations in Africa, and you just it's very easy to kind of I think watch a movie or watch a documentary and just assume that it's pretty normal, but it must be terrifying going down to these areas where the society is literally in danger of falling apart every day. And the people who are in charge, these drug lords, these warlords, who literally walk around with AK-47s threatening people with violence on a daily basis, what that must do to your psyche, and then to maintain a healthy level of optimism throughout that. I mean, it must take an incredibly strong character to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that optimism and that positivity was what I wanted to, focus on, moving forward with the character. I wanted him to be just this obscenely nice, optimistic, diplomatic guy. and have like just a positive attitude about him at all times. And on top of that, of course, working with Jordan Woods Robinson, the guy who plays Eric, my partner, we sat down the night before we shot our big scene together, and fleshed out exactly how long we'd known each other, how long we'd been dating, and if we knew each other before the apocalypse. And of course, we decided we did, and it was great. It was great fun to kind of fill in the blanks where there weren't any clues to be had, and just make the characters our own. It was a lot of fun.
See, I love the sound of that, because you kind of, when you do have something as strong as the material that's already set out, it's great that you get your own sort of, like, you get to fill in the blanks yourself. I love that.
It was wonderful, yeah.
That sounds awesome.
It does. It certainly does. It certainly does. Yeah. So the show obviously has an amazing cast, an amazing main cast. Yourself included. So what was it like to be sort of elevated from just a temporary character up to part of the main cast?
It's amazing, and I think it goes back to the fact that I started as a fan of the show. So to actually go from, like you were saying, a supporting character, and now to be a part of Rick's army. I feel great about it, for one, but also I just feel very humbled by it, because these are actors that I've come to really love over the last few years, and they're just the most incredible people to work with and to act across with. It's a real joy.
I suppose coming into that, because I think Aaron came in round about, was it Series 5 or
Series 5? Yeah, yeah.
So what was it like coming into a group of people who'd already worked together for like 4 seasons and gelled together? And I mean, was it strange, or because you came in sort of with Norman Reedus, didn't you? Sort of.
Well, Norman came in, I think, Series 2.
Yeah.
It was. I think Norman had expressed the same thing, where he definitely felt like there was already a pretty cohesive unit there when he got onto the show, and he used that. He used that sort of alienation. I think that's maybe why Scott teamed Daryl and Aaron up, because these are both men that have been on the outskirts for so long. Partially because of their backgrounds before the apocalypse, and I think that's the great strength of this show, is that it teams up unlikely people. You would never expect Daryl and Aaron to be going out on missions normally, or hanging out, but somehow through this veil of this world, we get to see unlikely heroes become best friends, and it's a wonderful thing to see that.
On that note, with the you're saying like everybody kind of becomes best friends and all that. When we watch the show, it's a zombie apocalypse. It's very intense at times. It's very tense at times. It's a scary environment. I follow most of the guys on the likes of the Twitter and the Instagram, and you all backstage behind the set look like you're having an absolute blast.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, do you have a favourite story about working, back set and what have you?
Well, I mean, on a daily basis, we just find ways to crack each other up. Michael Cudlitz, actually the last episode, not the one from last night, but from the week before, the one where we were going to storm the satellite center. Michael Cudlitz and Seth Gilliam and I, Father Gabriel, we would just crack each other up in between takes doing impressions. I mean, a lot of people know that I do impressions, but not a lot of people know that Seth Gilliam and Michael Cudlitz do impressions. And Michael's an amazing Sylvester Stallone. Seth Gilliam does an incredible Robert De Niro, and we would just crack each other up in between takes, just doing that over and over again. Because when you're doing those intense, high drama and also extremely stunt-heavy scenes, you have to keep your body loose. You have to keep your positivity up, because your body can get fatigued after a while, and if you're not taking care of your body and loosening up, that's where injuries occur. And we were really keen to kind of make sure that everyone's on a happy tip, but while they're going into the scenes.
Yeah, like I say, I do follow a few, and I quite like when you did that scene when you took on the compound. And yourself posted a Twitter picture. When you killed that guy, which by the way was an awesome little scene.
It was
pretty cool. But you posted a picture like you'd given him a purple nurple.
Purple nurple, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny because the guy who I killed was actually Jake Arbor, who's one of our head makeup artisans, and he's a guy who's almost about 7 feet tall. He's an incredibly tall guy. big guy. Looks a little bit like a wrestler version of Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. But this is the sweetest guy too, and we've worked together for last 2 years, and it was just wonderful to finally get a chance to actually see him on screen, because people get to see what he does on the walkers, but not a lot of people get to see the man behind it. And it was wonderful to finally have him get a cameo, and I was very honored to work with him on that.
And kill him.
And kill him, yeah, of course.
There's nothing better than that.
Right, of course.
You mentioned your impressions there, and we were watching a few of your videos on YouTube, and wow. So how did you find out that you were able to do these? I mean, we were... we're watching your Al Pacino and your John Malkovich in particular had us absolutely cracking up. So how did you come across this about your ability to do this?
Well, that was true. I've said it before, but that was really more born out of a desire to not get beat up by my brothers. I found that making them laugh and entertaining them every way I could was actually a good way to deter them from beating me up. And having two older brothers who are 3 and 6 years older than you, they will relentlessly torment you. I'm sure anybody who has older brothers knows this. And I would watch the Tonight Show with my folks sometimes if they let me stay up late enough, and I was always so blown away by how tickled my parents would be when they would watch guys who did impressions on that show. And so the first one I ever attempted was Johnny Carson, and I'm sure it wasn't very good. I was about 6 or 7 years old, and it was enough to get a laugh out of them, and I just kind of went from there. So after time, it was just something I did at parties for a laugh, but then after time I realized you could actually develop a career out of it, and that's what kept me afloat during those thin years as a broke actor before I booked the show. Sure.
So do you have a favorite impression that you do?
I don't. It kind of depends on my mood, and sometimes friends will tell me that my voice just without even just kind of subconsciously goes there. I'll slip into a McConaughey or Harrison Ford without meaning to, but I think Kevin Spacey is he's got this sardonic wit about him that's just so intoxicating, and I love watching what he's done on House of Cards as well.
House of Cards. I actually said that to Kev before we called earlier on. I would love to hear if you could do Kevin Spacey as Frank Underwood.
Well, I'm a little under the weather, but I'll try. I'm a little under the wood, so we'll try to do our best. But it's very nice, and I will try my very darndest, because House of Cards season 3 or season 4 is coming up right now, and you need to watch it as soon as possible.
That's fantastic.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about the tight-lipped secrecy on the show. We were at Showmasters last year. We were at Newcastle, and we met Kate Dickie, who obviously she was on Game of Thrones for a while. And they were talking about some of the measures that they took to stop the spoilers getting out. Can you give us a little sort of insight into what The Walking Dead does to sort of keep us away?
It's just a healthy level of fear that we have on set. I think, it's a show much like Game of Thrones where people die all the time, and I think everyone is very keenly aware of how, fortunate they are to be working on it. So, and also, I think, regardless of job security, we're also concerned with maintaining a storyline that's compelling and captivating, and I think that kind of can come into what's the word I'm looking for? Jeopardy. It comes into jeopardy when spoilers are out there. I'm the type of guy who doesn't really like spoilers. If I see spoilers online for a movie or a book or a TV show that's coming up, I get kind of frustrated because I don't really want to know too much. I like the trailers that reveal very little about what's going to happen. I look for production value. I look for the actors that I want to see. I look for the writing, and outside of that, I don't really want much to be revealed. So I think all of us on the set are very committed to keeping our mouths shut, because we know that our episodes will be that much stronger if there's a level of surprise going into it every time.
Yeah, definitely. So with that in mind, just between us, who dies at the end of the season?
Everyone. No.
Everyone. Wow.
No. It's truthfully, they play their cards very close to the chest in the show, and for me to speculate on that would be just as good as what you guys would come up with, because we don't actually know. So it's that's a great question, and truthfully, it's just a matter of where the producers and where the writers decide to go. But I think that's what the great thing about this show is, that you just never know which one of your favorite characters might go, and there's just no way of telling.
Yeah, this is what I absolutely love about it. I love how we have the material in the background, the comic book material, but Kirkman's remixes have been phenomenal so far. So when you do get a spoiler, it does, as a fan, it cripples you. Like
it does, yeah. And I think it. I know this is in the age of the internet, it's very tempting to let out spoilers, and I know there's some people that like spoilers because it gets them mentally and emotionally prepared for what's coming. But for me, I think that part of, for me, like for example, when we talk about Game of Thrones, I had not read the source material, or not read the books before I watched the show. So when I watched that Red Wedding episode, I was blown away. I did not see that coming at all, and I think a lot of fans didn't too. So I can't imagine that would have had that as much weight or as much impact if I had known what was going to happen. So I'm grateful that our show deviates from the source material a lot, because you just never really know where our show's going to go, unless of course someone has spoiled it, which like I said, I thoroughly abhor. But yeah,
I like a good theory, but I hate a spoiler.
Exactly. I agree.
So you're obviously touring the UK at the moment. So when does The Walking Dead start filming season 7 then?
I believe that they head back to shooting end of April, beginning of May, I believe. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So not too long then. Not too long.
Not too long. Yeah.
So what would you like to see from Aaron in season 7?
Well, of course, I can't reveal if I'm going to be in season 7, but I think Aaron really has put a pause button on his recruiting duties for now, because he realizes that defense is the most important thing, and certainly in the last episode we see that Aaron is the first to volunteer and be a part of that charge into the compound. And moving forward, he's going to take on more of a soldier role. He's going to be much more of a warrior in this new world, and help Rick defend Alexandria and all the people who are inside those walls, because we've seen time and time again in these last few episodes that there are a lot more threats than they ever thought were out there before. Yeah. And the world, as scary as it was just with the walkers, it's actually we're finding that the humans are much more terrifying than anything else.
I mean, that was one of my favourite moments of yours, saying about how Aaron's getting a bit more defensive, a bit more assertive. Was sort of, apart from when you'd done the kill in the compound, I loved it when you kind of shut Morgan down a little bit.
Yeah.
And you were kind of like, we defended it once, we'll defend it again. Absolutely loved that scene.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to play that.
Right then, okay. So we know we're past 4 o'clock now, so we'll wrap it up and let you go.
Just one last question. I don't know if you've filmed the scenes yet or anything, but with the likes of Jeffrey Dean Morgan coming on the show, because I'm a massive Jeffrey Dean Morgan fan, and I'm looking forward to him coming in. Have you shared a scene with him yet, or is?
I really can't. I can't speak to that.
Yeah, I don't want to go into that territory. It's just kind of. I just want to kind of know what he's like on set, really.
Yeah, I have the most respect for Jeffrey Dean Morgan myself. I've loved watching what he's done in The Good Wife and Watchmen and everything he's done. He's just an incredible actor. So I really can't speak to that, but I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to that character.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of the one we've all been waiting for.
Definitely, yeah.
Most definitely.
But Ross, cannot thank you enough for coming on. I know we're against time, so we'll just kind of wrap it up there. And it's thank you for being so good for.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
And again, we're down in Newcastle this Saturday and Sunday, so we'll be sure to come up and say hello.
Yeah, please do say hi.
Aye, I'll tell you my theory when I see you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'd love to hear it actually.
Just one last thing. When you get back on set, if you wouldn't mind telling everyone about the 365Flicks podcast.
Okay. I will.
Just a little bit self-serving.
Oh, yes.
Most definitely.
But we can't wait to see you on Saturday and Sunday. I'm assuming you'll be doing a talk as well.
Yes, I think they have it scheduled for two Q&As both on Saturday and Sunday.
Excellent. I'll probably sit through both.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
But again, thank you so much for doing this, and thanks for coming on. And Chris,
thank you very much, sir.
Thanks for having me on.
So that was Ross Marquand.
That was Ross Marquand.
Was you expecting that one, Haze?
I'm a little bit speechless. That was a pure fucking treat. Well done, guys. How the fuck did you pull that off then?
Well, when you know people, you know people. Now, obviously, we're heading to Showmasters Film and Comic-Con at the weekend in Newcastle. Ross is going to be there, and we managed to snag a pair of press passes, which, is just awesome that they would even let a couple of regular schmoes like us have a go at it. And we got a cheeky email and we took them up on it. But
yeah, man, that's really well done.
Probably would have had a little bit more time, you reckon, Chris? But
Yeah. Unfortunately, there was he was in a hotel somewhere, and we were supposed to call it 3. We were struck by a moron.
We kind of got told he wasn't.
We called it 3:00, and we were told that Ross wasn't in the hotel. As I said, we were struck by a moron who just a moron.
Handled it really well. Fucking impressed. Really impressed.
I will say, I literally, up until the interview, I must have been to the toilet about 12 times this morning.
Yeah, you mentioned.
It was totally worth it. I mean, it was worth using all the toilet paper in the house, and I think we got a pretty solid interview. He was an absolute gentleman, as we kind of thought he was going to be, and
yeah.
He wasn't giving away anything.
It must be hard, like not sort of getting a bit, a little bit starstruck when you kind of you're talking to someone who's like forming, who's part of something that you're watching every week. It's
Yeah, so next week, Melissa McBride's coming on the show. No, that's not happening.
Hayes is losing his chair.
It would be awesome.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Give it a minute.
We'll wait till the finale. We were kind of, because it's been on the books for a few days, and we were kind of worried that last night he was going to die. But you know what? If he had, we still would have done it. The guy was absolutely awesome. Chris got a Kevin Spacey impression out of him, which I think is all he wanted.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You controlled the interview so well. You got so many things in. I'm so impressed with both of you. It was awesome.
Thanks, we're like proper interviews on everything.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That's, like I said, too legit to quit.
Yep.
I will have to do a little bit of editing because my phone was being an absolute prick there.
Yeah, Kev, you are literally minutes away from a drug overdose. Yeah.
Episode Series 6, Episode 13. We'll just wrap it up with some final thoughts. I'll plug all the ways you can find us again, and we will probably listen to that interview again. Then we'll wrap it up. So the episode, guys, how did we feel about the episode? Like, just on the whole, I think we've already gushed about it a hell of a lot, and it's been an awesome episode. We're all in agreement. Chris, we'll go straight over to you. What are you thinking?
Loved the episode. That was right up there with Rambo Carroll episode for me.
You did text me saying that.
I did text you that.
Like, this could be as good as Rambo Carroll.
I think it was a fantastic episode, and it was great character work. It was great acting. This is what I want from The Walking Dead.
I don't know, like, I'm still waiting for one episode that we can just have little rants about, because I'm loving this train right now, but, it's also nice to be negative about things as well sometimes. Although it's hard
we're British. We're not used to enjoying things all the time.
And Hayes, how did you kind of just wrap up your feelings on this episode and going forward?
I mean, I'm just in a very strange place at the minute with The Walking Dead. I'm really thoroughly enjoying it week by week. Each episode seems to be getting better. We haven't really mentioned the music in this episode, but some of the music was just so on point as well. Just really ramped up the tension.
Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, it was just superb in pretty much every way that a contained hour of entertainment can be for a TV program. I can't praise it enough. I'm really excited for where it's going to go. I think I'm done worrying almost. How many episodes in a row have we had now? 5?
That's when they get you, Hayes.
Maybe
that is when they get you.
I've given them my heart.
So, Chris, we all know that out of the three of us, you're the one that watches Coming Next Week. Any little tidbits you got from it?
I actually didn't watch it.
That's your one job on this show.
No, I actually didn't watch it.
Your one job on this show is to watch the Coming Next Week.
That's not my official job. Fuck you.
Just sit here on my
I'm
belt.
taking that belt, by the way.
When are they releasing the card?
Well, it's 3 weeks yet.
You know, that's how we're going to decide it next time. That's how I'm going to be defending my belt, Hayes. We're going to be choosing who wins WrestleMania fights, which I think is not very good for me because, well, I only watch the pay-per-views. I'm not going to know how it's going.
Can't be any worse than our Oscar predictions, can it?
What? One?
Yeah.
Between us. Yeah, we're all in agreement. This episode was pretty damn good. I think it was a stroke of luck that we kind of got that little interview because literally there wasn't a massive great deal to talk about. It was a contained episode. It was 3, possibly 4 if you count Fake Maggie, if you count those 4 characters, like just powerhouse performances, a lot of monologue, and Melissa McBride, I cannot stress enough how good she was in this episode. And that's 2 episodes in a row that she's just been the absolute standout star for me. And I'm looking forward going forward as well. Like you say, Hayes, it's a strange position to be in. We started this whole thing. We started this whole thing with the intentions of having a few little rants because the last half series was so polarizing and just, you know, they just did a lot of things wrong, and it's. And now,
from where we've come from the gaming episode when we talked about and the rage that it brought out in all of us, you know, just having a little 5-minute diversion chat about The Walking Dead.
Exactly.
To now, where I mean, even the niggles that we've been having this episode, my head's jumping out and saying, well, you know, this is why that could have happened. This is
well, exactly. I'm trying to pull things up that might get a reaction, and you're like, no, I'm good with that.
It's fucking bizarre, dude.
I mean, even my niggle about Carol it was minor at best.
Yeah.
It was minor. I mean, it didn't spoil the episode for me. It didn't make me go, oh, fuck this shit. Not at all. Not at all.
So we're all in agreement. They're on the right path. All roads lead to goodness. So yeah, that was that episode, and that is this episode. As always, we're on the Facebook, we're on the Twitter, we're on the iTunes, we're on the Stitcher, we're hosted on Libsyn. You can find our archives on the Libsyn archives. We're on the networks: Wicked Radio Network, Tangent Bound Network, Geeky Antics Network Global, Nerdly.co.uk, our British home. Those guys are awesome. And there's one more, and I'm completely and utterly forgetting what it is. So, yeah.
I wasn't listening to you, so...
We'll just end the episode round about here?
Yeah.
Everybody want to say goodbye? And obviously as well, if you are in the Newcastle area at the weekend, this Saturday and Sunday, we will be at the con. We will have T-shirts on, pimping our shit out. And yeah, just come over and say hello, and we'll most likely ignore you because we're talking to Ross Marquand.
Yeah.
But, you know, if we are talking to him, please don't come over. Like, we don't want to sign signatures. So, do you think...
Oh, that would be good.
Do you think that would be quite interesting if we were stood talking to him and they came and asked us for our autographs? That's not happening.
It's not happening, baby. Just like, it's the price of fame, isn't it?
It is the price of fame, you know.
Hey, Ross. Hey.
So, I'm Kevin Halden.
I am Chris.
And I'm Hayes.
You are Hayes. The comic book connoisseur.
The comic book connoisseur.
Of The Walking Dead, obviously. And I'll just quickly play this before we go.
This is Ross Marquand, Aaron from The Walking Dead, and you're listening to the 365Flicks podcast.
I feel like you've got to milk it.
Yeah. Oh fuck! That's not the last time. That's
no.
So are you still gonna release that as its own episode?
I think I might. As an episode, it would stand at 20 minutes, but I'll release this as like obviously the episode, and I'll probably just stick it on the archives as well.